Imagine a giant storm cloud gathering in the sky. For a long time, you can hear the thunder rumbling far away, but you cannot see the rain yet. It feels heavy and scary, like something big is about to happen. Then, suddenly, the storm breaks open and everything changes. This is exactly what happened with a woman named Ghislaine Maxwell. She was the woman right in the middle of a very bad group of people led by a man named Jeffrey Epstein. For a long time, she kept her secrets. But then she started speaking from inside her prison walls. When she finally spoke, she whispered a name that shocked the entire world. She did not talk about a stranger. She talked about Meghan Markle. Maxwell did not say Meghan was just someone watching from the outside. She hinted that Meghan was much closer to the center of this dark circle than anyone ever guessed. For years, most people believed a simple fairy tale. We thought Meghan's story started when she met Prince Harry in 2016. We thought it was a happy romance. But Maxwell's words suggest something else. They hint at a story that is older, deeper, and much more troubling. There is a trail of hidden papers, secret meetings, and a past that someone somewhere really wanted to erase forever. This is not just gossip from the internet. This is the part of the story that was locked away in secret files and whispered in courtrooms. Today, that story is finally starting to come out. To understand the real truth about how Meghan rose so fast and entered the royal family, we have to look at the shadows. We have to start with the secrets that were first erased. We have to look at the missing hours. When Ghislaine Maxwell told her story to the lawyers, the public was waiting. People expected a huge wave of secrets. They wanted to know names, dates, and events. They thought they would hear information that could shake up governments and powerful families. But that is not what the world got. Instead, when the papers were released, they looked like they had been attacked by a thick black marker. It was a mess of secrets. Entire paragraphs were blacked out so you could not read them. Whole pages were covered in black ink. Entire conversations were gone. In fact, over 12 hours of the things Maxwell said were never shown to the sunlight. Think about that for a minute. 12 hours is a very long time. That is longer than you spend at school in a whole day. It is longer than most people sleep at night. Imagine talking for that long, and then every single minute of it is sealed away in a box where no one can see it. People who know about the court papers say that these black spots were not mistakes. They were done on purpose. These were strategic choices. The details were so sensitive and so explosive that someone decided the only safe thing to do was to bury them deep underground. And this is where the story takes a very shocking turn. In those missing hours, those hours that vanished into locked vaults, Meghan Markle's name reportedly appeared. It was not just a passing mention. It was not just a rumor. Her name was connected to events, people, and groups that are now at the center of a huge scandal. Before Meghan ever met Harry, before she became a duchess, and before she waved from the balcony of the palace, her name was allegedly part of a story the world was never supposed to hear. This is where the trail begins, and it leads us right to the next big piece of the puzzle. It leads to the moment Meghan was almost pulled into the courtroom herself. Long before the big royal wedding, before the interviews on TV, and before the movie deals, Meghan Markle's name showed up in a place nobody expected. It appeared on the witness list for a woman named Virginia Roberts. Virginia is one of the most important people in the case against Epstein. She is the one who told the truth about what happened, and she reportedly asked for Meghan Markle to be a witness. Why would she do that? Virginia claimed that Meghan knew things. She said Meghan had direct knowledge of certain people, especially Prince Andrew, long before Meghan ever became part of the royal family. This request was not just a guess. It came from a woman whose story helped expose a huge criminal network. If Virginia believed Meghan had information, it means Meghan might have been closer to Prince Andrew's world than anyone admitted on TV. Sources say Virginia did not ask for Meghan just because Meghan was famous. That would make no sense. She asked because Meghan had allegedly been in the same social rooms where Prince Andrew, Maxwell, and others hung out behind closed doors. For the lawyers, this was a total nightmare. Calling Meghan as a witness would have been a disaster for her image. It would have forced her to talk about her background, her friends, and her early connections. It would have put her past under a bright, harsh light. But that never happened. Someone somewhere made sure that door stayed shut tight. And that brings us to one of the most disturbing claims of all. It is about who Meghan used to be and the name she allegedly used. Ghislaine Maxwell made some personal comments from prison that are very strange. She talked about who Meghan used to be. According to Maxwell, Meghan Markle was known by a different name when she was younger. That name was Flower. This was not a name for a movie character. It was not a cute nickname from her childhood. It was an alias. An alias is a fake name you use so people don't know who you really are. Maxwell claims this name was used in adult parties and private social circles. These were places that operated far away from the cameras of Hollywood. Maxwell claims she knew Meghan back then. She did not know her in the polite way famous people say hello at awards shows. She claims to know her in a way that suggests they were in the same worlds long before Meghan ever thought about marrying a prince. The nickname Flower was allegedly used among certain guests and contacts within the Epstein group. It was a name whispered in back rooms and on guest lists. It was known by people who lived a life of luxury and secrets behind heavy curtains. To a young girl dreaming of being famous, this world might have looked amazing. It might have seemed powerful and exciting. But according to Maxwell, this world was not safe. It was dangerous. What scares investigators is not just the nickname itself. It is what the nickname means. It implies that Meghan was not a stranger to that scary environment. It suggests Meghan had a presence there. It suggests she moved through circles that eventually crossed paths with Prince Andrew and others. If this is true, it changes everything we know. It means Meghan did not just stumble into the royal world by accident. She did not enter the palace from the outside. She stepped into it from the shadows of a world the royals have spent years trying to run away from. To understand how Meghan's path crossed with the royals long before she met Harry, we need to look at the world of private parties. These are events with special invitations and quiet hallways where titles matter less than who you know. According to many people who know about that time, Meghan was no stranger to the world surrounding Prince Andrew. She was not there as a close friend or a royal guest. She was someone who appeared on the edges of these fancy gatherings. Back in the early 2000s and 2010s, Prince Andrew went to many events with Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. They went to dinner parties, charity balls, and private celebrations. These were not places where normal people could just walk in off the street. Everyone there was either chosen specially or connected to someone powerful. And in those quiet corners, Meghan allegedly appeared. She wasn't a duchess yet. She wasn't even a household name. She was just an actress trying to climb the ladder of success. She was navigating a world where meeting the right person mattered more than having a good resume. This is not about her dating Andrew. Nobody is saying that. It is about her being close enough to see the people, feel the atmosphere, and learn the unspoken rules of the room. Sources say Meghan was introduced to many different people who moved between Hollywood, New York, and royal circles. More importantly, she interacted with people who were tied to Andrew and Maxwell. It was not front-page news. It was just a quiet presence in the background. But later, this presence became very important when Virginia Roberts asked for Meghan as a witness. Those early meetings meant that Meghan saw more, heard more, and knew more than the public ever imagined. Every big story has a hidden character. This is someone who works behind the scenes, pulling strings quietly while everyone else watches the wrong people. In this story, that person is Sarah Ferguson, also known as Fergie. She is Prince Andrew's ex-wife. She has always been tied to the royal family through her children and her money problems. But according to insiders, Fergie played a much bigger role in Meghan's early life than most people realize. For years, the public believed Meghan and Fergie only met right before the royal wedding. It was a nice, neat little story. But sources claim the truth is different. They say Fergie knew Meghan long before the engagement ring. Fergie was present at many of the same exclusive events where Meghan briefly appeared. Fergie was close with Epstein and Maxwell when they were at the height of their power. She was on the same guest lists. She went to the same yacht parties. She sat in the same quiet rooms where secrets traveled faster than drinks. Some reports even suggest that Fergie was competing for influence in this network of wealthy men. This isn't about jealousy. It is about access. Fergie understood how valuable it was to be near powerful people. And Meghan was a young actress with big dreams. She was willing to be in the rooms where her career could change. But there is another layer to this. Some sources say Fergie later tried to block Meghan from getting too close to Andrew once Meghan became famous. Maybe she was protecting him. Maybe she was protecting herself. No one knows for sure. But one thing is clear. Fergie knew Meghan. Fergie had seen Meghan's world. Fergie understood the connections Meghan had before the rest of the royal family ever learned her name. This leads us directly to the night everything changed. It was the night Meghan's path crashed into Harry's path. It looked like a happy accident, but it might not have been. If the dark world of Epstein was like the deep, cold ocean, then a place called Soho House was the shiny boat floating on top of it. Soho House is an exclusive club. It is glamorous and always filled with the right people at the right time. At the heart of this world was a man named Ron Burkle. He was a billionaire with connections to Hollywood, politicians, and people who knew Maxwell. Soho House was more than just a club for members. It was a machine for networking. It was a place that could change careers and fix reputations. It connected rising stars to elite circles very fast. And this is where Meghan Markle's story takes a sharp turn. In April 2015, Soho House opened a new location in Istanbul. It wasn't just a party. It was a gathering of people with money, charm, and ambition. Both Prince Harry and Prince Charles were there. And Meghan Markle was there too. Some people say she was invited by a friend. Others say Burkle himself set up the introductions. But everyone seems to agree on one thing. Meghan meeting Harry at Soho House was not a random coincidence. It was the perfect setting. The music was right. The lights were low. The crowd was glamorous. It felt like a special moment created by the environment itself. Within a year, Meghan changed her entire image. She went from being an actress to a humanitarian. She went from a Hollywood hopeful to a polished global figure. She went from flower to a future duchess. Many people quietly wondered who helped her make that change. Who opened the doors? Who guided her steps? People usually don't rise that fast without a helping hand. According to whispers, the hand behind Meghan was connected to far older and more powerful networks, the ones Maxwell talked about before the pages were blacked out. When people ask, why would Meghan's name be in blacked out files? The answer might not be about Meghan at all. Multiple sources say the black ink isn't there to protect Meghan the actress. It is there to protect the powerful men who put her in those circles. If Meghan was in these environments as a young woman, even for a short time, she might have seen or heard things that could embarrass very important people. This is where the tension gets high. According to insiders, Meghan carries memories. She has connections. She remembers conversations that are very dangerous in the wrong hands. It is not because she wanted these secrets. It is simply because she was there. She saw the faces. She heard the whispers. She understood how the rooms worked. So hiding her name in the files wasn't because she was a threat back then. It was because she is a witness. And witnesses, especially ones who become duchesses, must be managed carefully. In this view, Meghan's fast rise wasn't a fairy tale. It was a plan. It was a strategy to move her away from the dark places where she started. But when someone rises that fast, another force rises to meet them. This force is determined to protect the monarchy from everything attached to the Epstein era. Inside the royal family, silence is the rule. Discipline is a way of life. Reputation is everything. This is why the fight between Prince William and Prince Harry is not just about brothers arguing. It is about protection. Sources close to the palace say that Prince William has drawn a line in the sand. He will not allow Meghan back into the royal inner circle. It is not because of arguments on TV. It is because of her past. Those hidden rooms, those powerful circles, and those missing hours carry a storm he refuses to let near his family ever again. We saw this clash when Prince Andrew tried to go to church at Balmoral. William stopped it. He basically said, "If he comes, I am not coming." Andrew had to leave. That tells us something very important. William is not tolerating any leftovers from that old, dark world. Not Andrew, not Fergie, and not anyone whose history is tied to that same web. To William, Meghan is someone who knows too much about circles the monarchy is trying to forget. He is not fighting Harry. He is fighting the history Harry married into. It is a history filled with shadows that William wants gone. But no shadow is darker than where Meghan's journey allegedly began. This is a place people whisper about but never speak of in public. It is always remembered by those who were there. Every story has a beginning moment. It is a moment that doesn't make the news. It seems small at first. Maybe it is just a warm night with quiet waves and lights reflecting off the water. But years later, that moment explains everything. For Meghan, that moment is whispered to have begun on a yacht. This was not a cruise ship for a family vacation. It was one of those elite gatherings where you need a special invitation. It was a place where powerful men made silent deals. It was a place where unspoken rules mixed together under the cover of night. It was on one of these yachts that Meghan first entered the world she would later be accused of knowing too well. This was a world where introductions could change your destiny. How you looked was everything. Favors were traded quietly. Young women were noticed, tested, and placed in new lives. Imagine the scene. There is soft music playing. The smell of expensive perfume is in the air. You can hear the sound of glasses clinking. And there is a young actress named Flower standing beneath the golden lights. She never realized that every face she met that night would later shape her future. From that moment on, Meghan was no longer just an actress. She was someone the powerful people recognized. She was someone they watched. She was someone they quietly moved from one circle to another. Years later, when she walked into Harry's life, she didn't come as a stranger. She came as someone who had already seen the world he spent his entire life being protected from. That is why the blacked-out files matter so much. That is why Virginia Roberts wanted her as a witness. That is why Maxwell's statements caused such fear. And that is why the royal family is now divided. Meghan Markle isn't dangerous because of what she did. She is dangerous because of what she knows. The storm that started on that yacht is rising again. More voices are speaking from prison cells. More secrets are coming out of sealed files. The question now is not if Meghan's past will come back. The question is how much more of it the world is finally ready to hear. The thunder is getting louder, and the secrets are starting to pour down like rain.